am Sue Webley. Welcome to another episode of Inspire. Hey, listen. It don't matter what mood I'm in or how tired I am. I hear that intro and I am just like up and full of energy. So welcome to another episode of Inspire. I am so happy to see you all as you're coming in this morning. And so our guest today, and I can't wait for us to be in our conversation. But I didn't realize that she's on the West Coast. So kudos, Jillian. I do have a few West Coast folk that come in to join. And listen, I love the West Coast. If you are not on East Coast, I know Southwest or Midwest, it's like an hour difference, but West Coast, it's early in the morning there, y'all. It is early in the morning. And so I'm so grateful for anyone that comes and hangs out with us on a Saturday morning. From the West Coast. I see you coming in. Good morning. I see you coming in. Now I see Facebook user. If you are watching us from a group, we might not see your name. So go ahead and just put your name in if you just said good morning. We are live right now on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Instagram. And so, hey, Instagram folk, if you see me looking over that side, Instagram is on my screen right there. If you have just joined us, if you've never heard about Inspire, you don't know what the hell this show is about, let me tell you. Let me introduce myself. I am Sue A. Webley. I am your host. I am an author, an entrepreneur, and an award-winning minister. And Inspire is a live interview style broadcast that's on a mission to encourage, empower, and embolden individuals to create change in their personal lives, their communities, and in the world. And so as our guests, our entrepreneurs, our influencers, our creatives, and others share their testimonies, tips, and tools with us, we hope that you who are watching right now on social media, you who will catch it in a replay, you who will listen later on podcasting platforms, that you will be inspired to elevate your mindset, to pursue your dreams, and to do as the late Dr. Katie Janita Cannon put it so eloquently, the work that your soul must have. So I want you to do me a favor. As you're trickling in, come on and connect, follow, like, and subscribe. So listen, when I first started this almost 3 years ago, I was pushing my Cara Solutions brand. Cara Solutions is still very much in effect, all right? But I am building out the Inspire platform. And so I want you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram with Inspire, at Inspire with Sue W. If you just want to follow me personally, I'm at Sue A. Webley everywhere. So you put Sue A. Webley in, you will find me, okay, on TikTok and all the social media platforms. I'm at Sue A. Webley. You could also head over to our website at www.getinspired.live. And there you can see all of our previous episodes. You can learn more about the show. You can learn more about me. And you can subscribe to our newsletter. We have some wonderful things happening with Inspire. We don't want you to miss a thing. And so go ahead and stay connected with us through subscribing on our website. You can listen later on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. where it's Inspired with Sue on all of those platforms. So I see you coming in. Who's over there? Hey, Pastor Peter. I see y'all coming in on Instagram. Do me a favor. If you've been with me for any length of time, you know what this question is about to be. And I'm sure going to ask our guests as well. What are you sipping on this morning, y'all? Now, y'all know. Oh, let me show my cup. Inspired Black Excellence. Okay. Y'all know I got coffee in my cup. All right. I always have coffee in my cup. And today it's mushroom coffee in my cup. Now, if you want to know what brand that is, inbox me. I will tell you. I'm not getting advertising coins to tell you what brand that is, so I'm not going to share that with you. So inbox me. Of course, I have mushroom coffee with some almond creamer in my cup. So what are you sipping on? What are you sipping on? Is it coffee? Is it tea? Is it water? Is it juice? Is it a smoothie? Is it something stronger? Listen, given this week, if you got something strong in your cup, I am not judging you. Okay. Some of us need a little something strong in our cup. Tell me what you're sipping on. Tell me where you're watching from and what you are drinking. Orange ginger chamomile tea with ginger. Is that fresh ginger? Let me know if that's fresh ginger, because that sounds good. Oh my goodness. Hey, Winston, how are you? Oh, and okay, with honey. Listen, that sounds good. That sounds really good and fallish and soothing and comforting. Fresh, come on, fresh ginger. I love it. Orange ginger chamomile tea. I love it. I love it. Winston, what are you sipping on today? What you got? Coffee. All right. All right. I see some coffees coming in. Let me know what you got. Hey, orange juice. Come on, orange juice over there on Instagram. Come on, let me know what you're sipping on. There's a whole reason why I do this on Saturday morning. So first of all, again, it's early. It's early, but there's some things coming up, and I want to make sure that you have stuff to put the stuff that you're sipping in. So you'll hear more information about that coming out soon. So before we introduce our guests, I cannot move forward without kind of lifting or holding a little bit of space for the collective, the communal grief that many of us are still experiencing after Tuesday. I know that Wednesday morning, I woke up. Well, first of all, I refuse to look at social media or the news or anything like that on Tuesday. That's an act of self-care, and I just knew. I knew Wednesday morning would be a repeat of Wednesday morning in 2016, and I cried. I was depressed, y'all. I couldn't do class. So yeah, many of you know I'm in I'm in graduate school, and I was just not present for class. I kept sobbing because I realized that this country does not care about me, doesn't care about my life, nor does our neighbor, right? And so we asked that people vote with their conscience, and so it wasn't surprising to me, but it hurt, right? And one thing I know about us is that while we are grieving, because grief is not the absence of hope. Grief is not doesn't mean that we're not gonna get up and fight again. That's not what grief means. We get to mourn, right? We get to mourn the type of world or the type of country that we would have wanted to see happen with an equally imperfect uh, uh, politician, right? Kamala wasn't perfection, but she did represent democracy. And so many of us are afraid. Many of us are anxious. Many of us don't know what is going to happen. But I do know that for us anyway, we've made it through some hard times, made it through some tough times. Our ancestors have made it through some things, and we will make it through this too. That's all I could offer. That is all I could offer. So if you're grieving, there's no timeline on that. Continue to cuss, scream, cry, do whatever you need to do. But I will implore you not to stay there too long because we still have work to do. We still have work to do. Yeah, once I said I went to work and just closed my door. I'm still, yes, many of us are still crying. Yeah, yeah. Is Dave Tony here? Hey, brother. Yes, it is. It is. It's a listen. It's a fearful time, and many of us don't want. So I'm reading comments from Instagram. I don't want to go anywhere. Listen, part of me was like, okay, we need to move, right? I don't know if anyone has seen um this Project 47 uh, statement and go to the website and I will find that website and post it in the chat. One of the things, and number two on that I saw on that list talked about birthright, right? And so that the children of immigrant parents born in the U.S. will have their citizenship revoked and be immediately deported. The children of immigrant parents. So for those of us like me that was born to immigrant parents, who has lived uh, in the U.S., who is an American, right? We will have our citizenship revoked. That's just one of the things. So I'm like, if they really do that, is that the whole of the U.S.? Because many of us, most of us, were born of immigrant parents, right? Parents with green cards and who obtained their citizenship after migrating to the US. That's just one of the things, right? And so I am trying not to have my anxiety get the best of me with this. I just, we got to make it through this, y'all. We got to make it through this. Yes, I'm thankful because it shows where we are. It feels a whole. We have a lot of work to do. We always do. And Black women we've always done the work, and many of it we tired. We like, okay, you on your own. But I don't want to take up the whole show talking about I want to take the whole show up talking about that, but I couldn't go any further without raising that. So, you know, while we're praying, while we're hoping, while we're doing all the things, yeah. We'll make it through this too. But I'm excited. I'm excited about our guest today, the amazing Jillian Reeves, who is an actor and a filmmaker. And I was going to read just part of her bio, but it's so wonderful that I have to read the whole thing. So I hope you don't mind, Jillian, sitting in the back. So Jillian Reeves embodies the essence of Hollywood's creative spirit with a repertoire that spans acting, advocacy, and filmmaking. From a memorial debut in BET's groundbreaking Let's Talk, series regular on TV One's Media, international debut in La Amor All Improviso, I think that is, and her guest appearance and recurring roles on hits like CBS's The Unicorn, Young and the Restless, CSI Miami, Grey's Anatomy, Masters of Sex. Jillian has continued to captivate audiences. Most recently, she enthralled viewers once again with the powerful film Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot, and continues to elevate her craft and leave an indelible mark on the industry. A comedic force in the world of television commercials, Jillian has performed in a multitude of ads alongside industry icons like George Clooney, Jennifer Aniston, Ellen DeGeneres, and Beyonce. Her ability to infuse humor into her performances has made her a sought-after talent in advertising, captivating audiences with her charm and wit across diverse campaigns. A talented filmmaker, Jillian's latest project, the short film Broken, is a powerful short film that explores the topic of serious mental illness with poignant resonance. This project deepens her off-screen advocacy for mental health awareness and efforts to end the stigma, particularly within the African American community. Currently, Jillian is developing Broken into a feature-length film aiming to amplify its impact and reach. Her advocacy for other important causes has earned her recognition on global platforms, including the United Nations for World AIDS Day. Jillian's passion for her craft led her to establish the AAA Masterclass, where she serves as the lead acting coach. Committed to excellence, she guides actors, creators, and corporate leaders to stand out on camera performances. Her expertise enables students to excel in auditions, interviews, public speaking, and accent reduction. Jillian also provides techniques to help them access their peak performance zone, allowing them to overcome nerves and build confidence. Through her mentorship and advocacy, Jillian makes a lasting impact on the industry, empowering others to succeed in their careers. And as we get ready to meet Jillian, let's take a look at the trailer for Sign of Hope.
It's hard to feel like I'm the only one who sees these things. 70% of the kids in the system are there because of neglect. The other 30% are put through hell. We need your help.
Can you imagine our kids on their own? We can't just look away. The state ain't no family.
Are you sure these people want us?
I know they do.
You can call me Mama. Oh, Lord.
If we can't wrap our arms around the most vulnerable, then what do we have? Noise! And the children can't take the noise anymore.
This is something that we must do.
22 families want to adopt. Whole town wants kids now.
That's about right.
What's happening with Possum Trot could mean a huge change for the system.
We want the ones that nobody else won't.
Who hurt you, baby? I'm not giving up on you. You can't give up on me either. What we gonna do? Everybody's falling apart.
I'm doing the best I can.
The real world hits hard.
I don't want to be here. I can't give him back. We gotta work on this together. We your people now. And love never gives up.
Wow, wow. Hi, Jillian.
Hi, how are you?
And well, I'm so grateful that you're here. And that trailer, whew, just had me in all the feels. Oh my goodness. And I
Yeah.
know you're going to talk a little bit more. I want you to talk a little bit more about that particular film. But first, before we get into our conversation, what are you sipping on?
Well, it is the West Coast, so very early here. So I am it's my 9.5 alkaline water with a splash of ginger. So that's what I'm doing this morning before I get into the harder stuff in about an hour or two. So right now I'm all about my alkaline, getting balanced, ginger instead of getting refreshed, you know. I think that's just nourishing for us, especially I appreciate you just making space for everyone going through difficult emotions today from the week. And that's so important. I love how you just stress that everyone is going to have their own timeline. And wherever you are this morning, that is just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you use is it fresh ginger or is it like
This was a
powder?
splash.
Like,
No, this was a splash of ginger from some ginger shots that I had. So I don't know if
okay.
you do ginger shot. Yeah, but the fresh ginger I'm all about. I think that's wonderful. I would
Yeah.
prefer it, but yeah, I do just a little splash early this morning.
Thank you so much for sharing. So that incredible bio, right? You just had such a
I
remarkable
know. I was like, who y'all talking about?
had such a remarkable journey in Hollywood, right? And working alongside all those icons but what originally inspired you to pursue a career in acting?
Yeah, I did not have like these big thoughts of being an actor. I guess when I look back, maybe I'm gonna put this metal cup because I feel like it's gonna do feedback. But I started in college. So I started college. I had children early, so I had started my college with kids. First year was a little rocky because I was figuring everything out, right?
Yeah.
And then after I ended up on academic probation, I was like, I got to take all easy classes this semester because I got to get this thing right. And so I took an acting class. So that's where everything began. And it was for no reason of my own. I feel like it was kind of God led. And I took that class. I got in my first play. The school I went to was really big on productions. And so it just sort of kept going after that. And I was like, okay, Lord, I'll do this as long as you lead the way. And I'm still here. So
Yeah.
so that's how that worked out. But so sometimes I like to stay open to life's plans. I make my own plans, but then I'm like, okay, let's see what this thing called life is leading me to do, where God is leading me. And I just head in that direction with a lot of faith.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how that began. It wasn't knew at 3 years old what I was gonna do. So I also say that just to encourage people that like even in this time, right, what seems like a stumbling block, what seems like a setback can give you time to recalibrate and actually get on your true path.
Yeah.
So all of those things we can use and are a part of this journey and this story. And you never know where life is gonna take you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Any surprises at all in your journey so far as an actor?
Yeah, it's full of surprises. I'd say that it's everything is different. Every role is different. Every working relationship is different. And every time you think you have it figured out, like it can change. And so you really have to have your own base and peace of mind and be really grounded in who you are, what you want, what you stand for, what you don't, and be empowered to live in that, right? So that when you're offered something or an opportunity that does not align with that core who you are, what you want, you're able to stand on that and trust the process, trust that God is gonna show up in another way. Um, and that way you can have a life I think that you can look back on and feel super proud, have integrity about it, know that you worked on the projects that mean something to you, that you didn't do anything counter to your values. Um, and that changes for each artist. That can be so different for everybody. But I think once you know what your core values are, and then you're able to stand in your own confidence in that, then you can really create the career that you're going to be proud of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. If you just joined us, we are in conversation with the amazing Jillian Reeves. If you have a question or a comment for Jillian, please feel free to post that, and we'll be sure that she gets the opportunity to respond to them before we end our time together today. So we just watched the trailer for Sign of Hope, the story of Possum Trot, which again has me all in my feels.
Yeah.
So it tells us this really heartfelt story about family and community. What drew you to this project?
I really loved the community aspect of it. Like I grew up in the South, in the rural South, with a very just Christian community. And it really was a place where you could all bear each other's burdens, like nobody was sort of left out on their own. And um just seeing the power and so this is based on a true story that was in this town called Possum Trot, Texas. They were on Oprah and Good Morning America, all that stuff back in the day. And very rural community. They don't have a McDonald's. I don't know if they have a stoplight.
Wow.
Very, very modest means. They were working in poultry factories. They were not wealthy. But they were able to come together and change the lives of all of these children,
Mhm.
just because they had the unity, they had the heart. And I think that was such a powerful story. I love that aspect of it. I think as we've all moved and live in different places, big cities, wherever you are on the East Coast, like
Mhm.
that sense of community can feel fractured. Maybe now
Mhm.
too, even more people are feeling like alone and,
Yes.
all of these feelings. And so I just loved this beautiful example of what can happen if we can come together, work together, and be willing to bear each other's burdens. I thought that
Yeah.
was such an impactful thing, and it being a true story, just it was my first time playing a character who exists, who is real. And so like, that level of really wanting to honor their story and
Yes.
their process, that was something that was very new on this project that really drew me towards it and that I really appreciated being a part of.
Yeah. So is it in theaters now? Can people? Because I know it was released July 4th.
Yeah, well, yeah, and
Where,
we just so like a month ago, it was released in the UK and Ireland, but it's also on Amazon now and on Angel.com, which is the studio. So it's streaming now.
okay. And so
Yeah.
those of you who are watching, I know many of us. Well, we have some issues with Amazon right now.
Yeah.
Go to angel.com.
Well,
and
there's
see
some
and
issues. Let me
see.
say, so we got issues upon issues upon issues right now.
Listen. It's like an onion. It's layered.
Yeah,
Um,
it's seriously.
but yeah, go ahead to angel.com and check out the Sign of Hope story of Possum Trap. So there's another short film called Broken. And so before we talk about that, I want to just share that trailer really quickly.
I see Ebony is 18. Looks like she refused to sign the consent form.
She doesn't trust it. She doesn't believe this is a real hospital.
Seems like somebody ought to help her.
Okay, wait. It'll be okay. It's okay now. Okay, your mommy is here. Shot and killed a mentally disturbed man.
Listen. These projects, Jillian.
I know, right? I'm so upbeat and lighthearted. And yet these projects keep coming forth, right? Listen.
Tell us about
mental health in the African. So first of all, this project is super close to me in my heart. Once I started working on it, in this film is a mother dealing with her daughter with schizophrenia and how difficult it is to get treatment, to be taken seriously, even by the family and the faith community. And when I made it and started really being vocal about these issues, the amount of people that I had known personally for years who were like, well, my uncle is actually in an institution. Well, I'm actually the conservator for this. Like the amount of stories that came out from people I'd known for years. And so I just realized how many people were dealing with this in silence. And so when we talk about community, where's your community when you have to hide these huge parts of what you're going through and the why feel that you need to hide it? It's because of this stigma and shame and also just a sense of it not being real, not taking it seriously. And so it's an interesting thing. And when I talk to mental health and talking to Black people about it, especially our community, there's so many levels of difficulty because, like I said, it can be a total lack of understanding, which is understandable. But then also, our tendency to call things a spirit or, demonic or, these words for things that we can't understand that then limits us into what we can do about them.
Yes.
So I do think it affects us so much. I think, we see the interactions with the police. I just really wanted to touch on a lot of different things in this short that happens so much in the mental health community and also show the toll it takes on families and caregivers and people who love them. Like when you ride by that person on the street that might be talking to themselves, that might be asleep, like, they're not, that doesn't mean they don't have family. That doesn't mean they don't have people who love them. That doesn't mean that's not somebody's brother or dad or sister or child. But their hands are so tied, often there's so little that we can do. So I really wanted to show the generational toll it can take. So there's a mom, the grandma played by Beverly Todd, who's amazing. She was in Morgan Freeman Wives and all those bucket list movies and the principal from Lean on Me. She's Don Cheadle's mom in Crass. She's just phenomenal. Beverly Todd is phenomenal, and so many other just phenomenal actors in it, just to show the frustration of it and how that can happen, that person can end up on the street, even though their family loves them so very much. And so I think it's a topic that hasn't gotten enough attention. A lot of times, now some things are becoming a little bit more well known, whether that's depression or have anxiety. Some people will say like bipolar, but like those more serious, more serious mental illnesses that affects 1 in 5 people. So schizophrenia is not a small thing. 1 in 5, 1 in 5. That's a lot of Americans. And really trying to shine a light on what I think has been either kind of sensationalized by movies, whether it's Psycho or, whatever, these movies that make them out to be these violent perpetrators, when in reality, they're usually the ones that are experiencing the violence. Statistically. So either or have been kind of ignored. And I really wanted to give that a voice. I wanted to give families who don't feel seen a voice. And really raise the issue. And raise the conversation. And I have a lot of conversations, and a lot of them are hard and a little bit frustrating, but fruitful and positive, because I think we have to know that we're not alone. And again, in this time of people feeling very alienated, very isolated, very, who is my neighbor, my brother, who really is for me. I think we have to be that community for each other. We have to build that, and build it with people who are, building in good faith, and really want to see some solutions to a problem, and really want to sincerely understand.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for your commitment to sharing these stories, right? To putting to having these conversations, especially how it impacts the Black community. And why do you feel? And everyone has their own answer, but why do you personally feel like there's been this stigma around mental health and mental wellness in the
Right.
Black?
Well, I think the Black community has a bit of a stigma, a bit of a suspicion of medicine in general, right? Which is okay historically, from the Tuskegee experiment on. I think there's been a bit of distrust. I think the symptoms, especially of a schizophrenia or anything that's going to lead you to a psychosis, is scary, to experience. And if we don't understand it, then I think our religious bent is to give it to the Lord. It must be spiritual, and so hopefully we can pray it away or cast out some demons, right? Or something like that. So I think just our upbringing and then not, there's not a ton of resources like that for that in the Black community. So we were less likely to go to therapy. That's changing now, which is great. But just historically, we're less likely to be able to afford mental health care, have it available, have culturally conscious mental health care. Here in LA, they do have this faith partnership with the Department of Mental Health. So they bring in the faith leaders because they understand faith leaders are often the first line that people go to when they're having mental health issues or their kids are having mental health issues. So I was at this kind of conference and talking to the faith leaders, and they, probably receive one semester or one class or something in seminary on dealing with mental health issues. So they also feel overwhelmed, and now they're having suicides in their church and all of these different things that they don't quite know how to handle. So I think that's part of the solution, like having faith leaders work with the Department of Mental Health and getting them pipelines to the help that they need. But I think, I definitely think we see a lot of things as spiritual. Sometimes it shocks me because I'm just so much more but I was having some conversations just the other day. And they were talking about procrastination being a spirit, which, okay, maybe, but also it's a symptom of undiagnosed ADHD, right? Like, that's a real thing. And the blowback I got was astounding to me. Like, I'm right now. And they're like, oh, And then there were words like, well, people are just lazy. And these words are words that people with mental health challenges often face. Lazy,
Yes.
unmotivated, all of these things, when if we could support people in a different way, we could see some really different outcomes. If we
Yeah.
could with my own family member who went through this, it was all a learning curve for me. I was thrown into the deep end. I was like, what's happening right now? What are we talking about? Like I had no idea what was going on. And the outbursts were considerable. And then, I started to learn the medication started helping. And the amount of people across the board, but a lot also in the Black community who were,
Yeah.
you don't need that medicine, and you should just eat these nuts and berries and all of these other things. And I think that's the big thing. And so people with the illness don't want to be sick and don't want to take the
Right.
medicine. But I've seen personally just that trajectory of being off the medicine and literally ended up on the street, in
Yeah.
jail, sex trafficked, really horrible things because
Yeah.
it's a thought disorder, and being on their medicine and being able to re-enter school or actually hold down a part-time job, like really rebuild their life. And so I think it's fine to have a healthy skepticism of what your doctors are saying, ask a lot of questions, read up on it, but to have the idea that any medication is bad
Yeah.
is a thing that's hurting our community. Like my grandma
Yes.
was the same way. She only wants to take one pill or two pills, and then ended up with diabetes and almost getting her foot cut off. So like
Yeah.
there is another side to these things, and I think just kind of opening up our mind to some of those things and not being so, I think, almost having more of a grateful heart towards,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we can treat these things. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What a blessing to
Yes.
be in a country that's rich enough to have these medications available so that people can actually live as fulfilling a life as possible, as opposed to just having this block. I think America in general is experiencing a veil
Mm.
of no information coming in that's counter to what they already feel.
Yes.
So we're
Yes.
in an era of feelings trump any facts, and I think
Mhm.
that our people perish because of lack of knowledge, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so until we get a handle on that, we're gonna have a harder time with all sorts of issues.
Yeah, I think part of it is that we have to understand that if we believe that God created everything, that God also that you know created the us to have the ability to practice medicine
Yeah,
to
yeah.
solve these issues, right?
Right. And I
And
get it. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead. No, go
no, no,
ahead.
no. But
Because at first, when I first experienced this, I was like, okay, oh, maybe we can do something, you know, natural or whatever. But then when you see the extent, like when you're in it, not somebody
yeah,
on the outside thinking what it's like. When you're in it, you are looking for anything. Like, I will take an elephant tranquilizer. We just need to get somebody down and we need to get them rested. Like, when you're in it, it's so much different than when you're
yeah,
pontificating and we're just sitting at the wherever giving out your thoughts. And that actually can be very harmful for the people going through it.
yes,
Because
yes.
they don't, number one, they don't need the extra shame. Number two, they're super stressed. Number three, you really don't know what you're talking about. I know you think you do, but you don't. You know what I'm saying? I know you think you know what you're talking about, but you really don't. But that veil of, yeah, I do
Listen, I
know
need
things.
just right there. I just needed to put that. I needed to put that up.
Girl, what's happening right now? I'm telling you, it's like a crazy new world where people are so sure of what they're talking about when they have no idea, no background, no experience, even personally. So it's hard, and it's really hard on families that are already going through a
Yeah,
hard thing to face that craziness of some people who just like, well, I don't think that don't sound right. What do you mean? What does that even mean? It doesn't sound
right.
right. Well, maybe because your ears have never heard a few of these facts. So
Right, right,
it's
right, right,
hard. I
right,
mean, and I say
right.
that because I say that from the frustration of the people going through it who really need to be supported.
Yeah.
And that might be why they don't talk about it, right? That might be why they have to suffer in silence and bear such a burden alone, because we don't have ears to hear things that we don't
Mm.
want to hear now, and that's a hard thing. That I only understand how to, like one-on-one, you can kind of break it down to people. And then once they start breaking it down, they will start to tell you about family members of their own. The
Yeah.
same people who are telling you, da, 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 like when you really get in conversation with them, like they will have an experience that they didn't quite know how to define or explain. Um, even and the elders, of course, don't have the language. Like I was talking to my
Yeah.
mom, I was like, "Mom, does this run in the family?" She's like, "I don't think so." My dearly departed mama. And then she goes on to tell me about an uncle in the South with like hit himself in the head with an axe and ended up in I was like, "Mom, that's mental illness." But
Right.
there's no basis for her to be able to communicate that in that way. So
Yeah.
I think we probably have stories that were not ever talked about because until I asked, it was never talked about. And
Yeah.
and then she still, whenever she explained it, didn't have a frame of reference to say, oh
Mhm.
yeah, this person. I was like, that sounds. She's like, and he used to keep the windows closed, and we were so scared. I was like, that sounds like paranoia, mom. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, a lot of it is we don't have the history of being able to explain it. We have a denial because it's a scary thing and we would rather not experience a scary thing.
Yeah.
And we would really hope that God would take the scary thing away. But the old folks used to say where I grew up, Lord, don't move my mountain, but give me
Mhm.
the strength to climb. And so
Mhm.
sometimes we have to understand that that mountain is not going to move. So we have to go through. And now, how can we go through giving people what they need to live the best life that they can?
Yeah. Whew, that was good. Whew, okay. We can stay on this topic for the rest. We can really stay because I have some things to say, and but we can really stay in, and but we'll have to save that part for another time. We're gonna take a really really quick break for you to take a sip of your water with ginger. For me to do some housekeeping, and we will be right back with some more conversation with the amazing Jillian Reeves. So again, I want to thank you for joining us today. Um, those of you who are on Instagram, those of you who joined us on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn, thank you so much for being here. I want to invite you to connect, follow, like, and subscribe. I am building out the Inspire with Sue platform, so you can do me a favor and follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Inspire with Sue W. And also follow me anywhere at Sue A. Webley. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the social media platforms except X on, on the Sue A. Webley. So do me a favor and follow me there. You can also head over to our website at www.getinspired.live. There you can watch all of our previous episodes. You can find out more about the show, more about me, and you can subscribe to our newsletter. There's some wonderful things coming up with Inspire that we don't want you to miss. And so we want to invite you to subscribe. Also, you can listen later on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Are you or someone you know on a mission to create change while inspiring others to do the same? Well, we want to hear from you, right? I want to have you on Inspire so we can have a conversation. You can visit again our website at www.getinspired.live. You can fill out the booking information right on our website. So if that's you or you know someone, you can fill that information out right on the site. And I'll get back to you after that's filled out, and we'll plan a date for you to come and hang out with us on the Saturday morning. Also, if you've been with me any amount of time, will do this every Saturday until Yanni gets a kidney, right? Our dear sibling in the community, Pastor Yanni, some of you know her as a peace pastor. Some of you know her just as Rev. Some of you know her as the artist Yanni. She needs a kidney, y'all. And so she's in search of potential donors who are fairly healthy, who have the blood types A or O, and who have the courage, right, to commit to surgery and help save her life. She will love to share the safety measures with you. If you're interested, you want a little bit more information, you could contact Yanni and her family directly by emailing peacepeopleinc peacepeopleinc@gmail.com. That's peacepeopleinc@gmail.com. Or you can head over to emerylivingdonor.org, fill out that survey, and enter her name, Ayana Davis. Let's help Yanni. Let's do this thing. We talked about community a lot, right? With Jillian already. Let's gather in community and help Yanni get a kidney. Now we know that's a big ask. Right? But prayerfully, someone's spirit is moved to reach out to Yanni. So that you can at least discuss those safety measures. And if you cannot, we ask that you share the information, and at the very least, lift Yanni up in prayer, right? If you go to prayer in your meditation time, and no matter who your higher power is, just call her name out, so that she can get this kidney. All right, we're about to get back with some more conversation with the amazing Jillian Reeves. Welcome back, Jillian. Thank you so much again for hanging out with us on this very early Saturday morning on the West Coast.
Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yes, it's been such a joy so far. This conversation has been so rich. And so I want to talk a little bit now about, was it the AAA Masterclass? Can you tell us a little bit about that initiative? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the funny thing is AAA stands for Acting Auditions and Accents. And actually during this 2020, the last Trump administration, I moved to Italy, actually, and started this class there, where I was teaching. It started primarily as me teaching people who are interested in becoming actors there, acting, but also accent reduction. So they were learning acting skills and the American accent through the class. And so that was my that was my escape from America for the first administration. We'll see what happens this way. But that's where it was born out of. And so when I came back, I just really wanted and to expand it to, then I was dealing with more Spanish and Italian and accents. But then when you get here, it's the same thing. The East Coast is blown up, right? And so you have Atlanta that's huge. And so we have a lot of regional accents that we can work with, and also just presenting, like corporate speaking, and also wellness for performers has become a big passion of mine. So when I talk about peak performance, I mean being in this space that you can be open enough to communicate authentically, and to sort of live and be present in that moment. And so the artist performer well-being is a big deal, because it's really difficult to operate and to be so open. You have to be very open and vulnerable in these spaces when you're not haven't done the work to be grounded and well yourself.
Yeah.
And as the industry goes through changes, as AI comes in, as all of these things happen, and we're nervous and on edge, and even with this election and all of these things, really figuring out how to stay in your body, stay grounded, stay present, and still be able to produce the performance or the speeches that you want is important to me. So it's kind of evolved from its original purpose, but I think that's what life is. It's evolving, and I try to look at what the needs are of performers or people who have to communicate, like, currently, and really meet those needs.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. So you wear so many hats,
Yeah.
right? As many Black women, like,
Yeah,
you
right.
tend to
That's
take on everything. So you're an actress, actor, filmmaker, you're a coach, you're an advocate. How do you harmonize all of those things? And what do you do for self-care?
Yeah, I dissociate. I'm joking. No, but I really am good at compartmentalizing, right? Like which is why I tell people, like, you have to like, I haven't cried about the election because I was like, I had the blow the first night, and then I immediately was like, okay, so what does this mean? What are we gonna do? What do I need to do to go forward? How do I want to address this? Like, yeah, like sort of like, what do I want to do for me and my peace of mind, and then what can I offer the collective? And so I sort of go into planning mode like immediately, and sort of let those feelings process in the background a little bit, right? I do have a wonderful therapist for my own self-care as well, to make sure I'm not just pushing emotions out and just going through that push through. Um, I do try to, I'm much better about thinking about what I want sort of in the beginning, right? So when this things happened, I was like, what do I want? Do I wanna I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I've made amazing relationships abroad and, like I said, moved abroad for a bit, and so I'm like, "Do I wanna do that? Do I wanna do this?" And so giving myself the space that I don't have to have those answers right now, but knowing that I am multifaceted and can create opportunities and options wherever I am, and then that sort of grounds me and gives me a sense of peace. So, like, I think having those emotions, but then also really thinking for yourself, like, "What do I want?" Um, and knowing that so many things are possible, um, and, like, feeling your feelings, but not letting them totally derail where you are. And that's with this election, that's with the end of a relationship, that's with your kids acting wild, that's with a job ending, that's with any sort of trauma, I think that or setback that life throws at you is balancing feeling those real feelings of grief, whether it's personal, collective. Um, I think kind of when you are on a higher consciousness or, have a higher level of understanding, sometimes you have more grief because you can see the bigger picture. You can see what so many cannot see coming. And you can have so much empathy and compassion for that. And, I don't throw around empath, but like when you have that collective feeling of feeling for so many outside of just your own circumstance, that can be overwhelming. So one, that's a beautiful thing, right? Because it's beautiful to care about people and when you understand uh when you see people going off a cliff and they think there's still a road, that's a hard thing to watch, right? So that's a really hard thing, and so figuring out how to not deny that collective grief within you, but still find a way to make sure that you know that all will be well with you, and why will all be well? Because, you have a consciousness that can cause you to look at your situation, figure out the best options for yourself, and know that the world is big and we are blessed to have so many options, and that we are powerful enough to take any route that we want in order to ensure our safety. So, for me, I see people having all sorts of reactions, and I think they're all valid. I'm like, you want to bounce out? That's totally valid. You want to stay and fight? That's totally valid. So meeting people where they are, but knowing you got options, and hopefully that collective spirit, those people who are on those levels, this platform that you are offering, the work that you are doing, to create community and keep people understanding of their power, and to not only inspire others, but inspire themselves with what they're capable of. I think we don't realize what all we're capable of because sometimes we see our limitations, or we've heard those words lazy or stupid, or you never finish anything, you always start. Like, being able to understand that that is noise, and you are able to come into your power and create the life that you want, and pivot when it's necessary. Like, we are so amazing. Each of us and our collective, that we have to know that because of all of those strengths, all of those superpowers, all is well, and all is well because we can ensure that we are well. Outside, regardless of these things, we are smart enough to figure out these ways to make sure that we are well.
Yes, yes. Thank you for those powerful words. I'm certainly taking it to heart, and I know that those
Yeah.
who are watching and listening will as well. What is up next for you, and how can we support?
That's interesting. Yeah. So, um, like so many people, I'm considering what's next, right? Like we all
Mhm.
have plans, and then life happens. Life throws you these things.
Yeah.
So like, so I'm thinking myself, like, so originally I was working on expanding Broken, which I'm still doing. It's just a matter of like where am I going to do that from?
Right.
But also seeing this collective grief, like I also have this platform called Join Jillian, which is more about health and mental health and wellness, like kind of that performer wellness. So I am really open right now to see where God is leading. Like if I'm being a little bit led more towards that Join Jillian platform where we can have um a real base for this staying grounded and centered and able to do the work that we're about to have to do,
Mm,
and balancing that with the creative, right? So like when you have these two passions, because I do have a passion for people and wellness, which is why I made the film in the
yeah.
first place, or maybe even creating content to help people with that, or creating shorts to help people with that, or maybe try to help that veil from being lifted. So I feel like with this last week, my own trajectory might be pivoting,
Mm,
and I think a lot of people might be there, and I think that that's fine. And so taking time to see what that looks like and where our passion really lies after this, like where we feel like we can be the most valuable, where our skills and what we're able to do can really help propel people forward. So yeah, I have other script ideas right now that I'm thinking about that I feel like could be interesting in this time. So I think it's a watch this space question, which I think a lot of people may be in
mhm,
as we
yeah.
as we
Yeah.
process these events, like where we're going, what we're doing. Um, yeah, so I have some offers even, from abroad to do some artistic work around what's kind of happening in our nation and our world. And so we'll see what happens. So I would just say, come follow me on Insta. That's where I'm most active. I agree. We'll never be on X. Um, not gonna happen. And yeah, just watch the space. I will definitely be announcing some other platforms, but that's my real base where you can find all my information. It also feeds into Facebook. Um, yeah, so I'm open, and I feel empowered. I feel like I allow God and to really lead me in the direction that I should go. And I do feel like we're in this space of perhaps pivoting or things transforming into other things. And I'm excited about that, and excited about what that looks like. And yeah, so I don't know the answer yet, but I'm excited to see it unfold.
All right, so we're certainly going to watch this space to
Yeah.
see all of what comes forth. And listen, I believe that this is the time for the arts to
Yeah.
shine. We use art as protest,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so I believe that, listen, if you have a creative bone in your body, this is the time to
Mm.
tap into it,
And
right?
I just appreciate you for your platform, honestly, because, it's 7 a.m. in LA, and I could be like, "Oh my gosh, all right." But, like, we have come together here, right? And
Yeah.
inspired each other, like, you've inspired me. I love what you're doing. I love what you've built. I love what you've created, and so proud of you. And I do think as Black women, like, we don't always hear that, and we do have to save the freaking world all the time, and
Yeah.
nobody is honoring us and taking us in their arms and saying, "Man, this is hard, and what you did is amazing, and you've overcome so many obstacles." And if you haven't done another thing, if you don't do another thing, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of everything you've accomplished. But I see the God in you, and the genius in you, and the drive in you, and the inspiration in you. And I know you're going to go and do better things, but you can stop and rest anytime you want, because you've earned every minute of rest you take. Um, and so I just celebrate you and
Oh,
salute you for everything that you're doing.
Oh, Jesus, trying to make me cry. I'm gonna cry when I get off the listen. When I get off this slide. Y'all not gonna see me busting my makeup. Y'all know I'm a little vain, right? Okay. Thank you so much, Jillian,
Yes,
for
absolutely.
hanging out with us today, for being with us today. Just praying God's choicest blessings on your life and every project that you touch, that you were a part of, be successful everywhere your feet walk, may it be holy ground.
Thank you.
And as you purpose to continue to do what the divine has created you to do. Thank you
Absolutely.
for joining us on
Thank you, guys.
Inspired
Thank
this
you.
morning. And it's I am Jillian everywhere. Is that
It's
it?
the only Jillian.
The only
The only
Jillian.
Jillian. Yep.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
only Jillian. So don't just
Yes,
type
you
in
did.
Jillian Reeves and click one. It's the
Yeah.
only Jillian.
But TikTok, I think I'm Jillian Reeves. But if they find the only Jillian, they're gonna find links to everywhere I am. and also JillianReeves.com is my website. So
Okay, and
I'm so
JillianReeves.com.
easy to find. I'm too easy to find.
So make sure you go and check Jillian out. We'll be looking out for the Broken, for
Yeah.
the full feature film, and make sure you go watch Son of Hope, the story
Yeah.
of Apostle Drop. And so go ahead and go to angel.com to watch it. Go to angel.com to watch it. All right, we are out of here. Thank you, all of you who have joined us on social media, who will listen in later. So glad we couldn't be here without you. Inspire wouldn't be what it is without you. So until we meet again next time, I want you to stay lifted. I want you to stay motivated. Most of all, I want you to stay inspired. God bless, and I'll see you next week.